Breaking news just dropped, and it's something that every American on Social Security needs to hear right away. The Social Security Administration has officially announced the Cost of Living Adjustment, COLA, for 2026, and it's already sparking major reactions across the country. After months of speculation, predictions, and expert analysis, we finally have the confirmed numbers, and trust me, they're going to impact millions of people's finances starting January 2026. But before we get into the numbers, let's be clear, this update isn't just about percentages or dollar signs. This is about real people, real families, and real lives who depend on Social Security every single month. Whether you're already receiving benefits, nearing retirement, or taking care of someone who relies on these payments, this announcement is going to affect your household budget in ways you might not expect. So stay tuned, because here on Wealth Wave, we're breaking down what this means for your future, what changes to expect, and how you can make the most of your benefits. But first, if you find value in staying ahead of these Social Security updates, take a quick moment to subscribe to Wealth Wave and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps more people get the financial updates they need to stay informed. Alright, let's get to the big news. The 2026 Cost of Living Adjustment has been confirmed at 3.2%. That means the average retired worker will see their monthly benefit increase from $21.23 to $21.91, an extra $68 every month. For a typical couple who both receive benefits, their combined payments will increase from $3,385 to $3,493, adding about $108 more per month to their household income. These new payments will start showing up in your bank account beginning with the January 2026 checks. Now, while an increase is always welcome, this year's number is much lower than what beneficiaries saw in 2025 when the COLA was 5.9%. So, why the big drop? Let's break it down. Why the COLA dropped so much? The Social Security COLA is based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, CPIW, which measures inflation from the third quarter of one year to the third quarter of the next. This 3.2% increase reflects what experts are calling a cooling economy, where inflation has slowed down compared to the previous couple of years. On the surface, that might sound like good news. Prices aren't rising as fast. But many advocacy groups are warning that this formula doesn't accurately reflect the spending habits of seniors. Think about it, seniors spend a much larger share of their income on things like healthcare, housing, and groceries, all of which are still rising faster than overall inflation. So, while the COLA is meant to help you keep up with prices, it doesn't always tell the full story. What different beneficiaries will get? Let's break this down for different types of beneficiaries. Disabled workers will see their average monthly payment rise from $1,483 to $1,530. Widowed mothers with 2 children will go from $3,374 to $3,482. Elderly widows or widowers living alone will see their checks increase from $1,599 to $1,650. Now that's before accounting for Medicare Part B premiums, which could change the actual amount you'll take home. Medicare premiums could cut into your raise. Here's a key point that a lot of news outlets are skipping. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, hasn't yet announced the 2026 Medicare Part B premium rates. In previous years, these premiums have increased enough to offset part of the COLA, leaving seniors with less of a boost than expected. So even though you might be looking at a $68 increase on paper, your real take-home amount could be lower depending on what happens with Medicare. The bigger question, is this enough? That's what everyone's asking. With prices for essentials like food, rent, and healthcare still climbing, many seniors are wondering if this 3.2% increase will be enough to make a real difference. Let's put it into perspective. $68 more per month adds up to about $816 per year. But in many U.S. cities, rent has gone up by that much or more in a single year. Grocery prices are still climbing, and healthcare continues to be one of the fastest growing expenses for retirees. This is why many experts say that even though the COLA is technically keeping up with inflation, it's not fully keeping up with the real cost of living for older Americans. The compounding effect of COLAs. Now, one thing that often gets overlooked is how these COLA increases compound over time. Even modest raises add up. Someone who started receiving benefits 5 years ago has seen their monthly payments rise by more than 20% thanks to these yearly adjustments. However, the question remains, has your buying power actually increased, or are you just trying to stay afloat as prices rise? Impact on workers and tax limits. This COLA doesn't just affect retirees. It also raises the maximum taxable earnings limit for Social Security. In 2026, that threshold will rise from $168,600 to $174,000, meaning higher income workers will pay Social Security taxes on an additional $5,400 in earnings. If you're self-employed, that matters even more, since you pay both the employer and employee portions of the tax. What this means for retirement planning. This smaller COLA is making a lot of people rethink their retirement timelines. Many financial advisors are already reporting that clients are considering delaying benefits to maximize their future payments. If inflation stays moderate but living costs keep climbing, claiming early might mean locking yourself into a smaller benefit that doesn't stretch as far as you'd hoped. And here's another important piece of the puzzle. The Senior Citizens League reports that since the year 2000, Social Security benefits have lost more than 30% of their purchasing power due to rising costs. So, this modest 3.2% bump isn't likely to reverse that long-term trend. Where you live also plays a big role in how far your Social Security check goes. Seniors in high-cost areas like California, New York, or Florida's coastal cities may find that the increase barely makes a dent in rising expenses. Meanwhile, retirees in more affordable regions might feel a bit more relief. Experts are calling this the retirement location gap, where your zip code determines how effective your Social Security benefits really are. Now let's zoom out and talk about the long-term picture. While this lower COLA slightly reduces the program's immediate spending, it doesn't fix Social Security's bigger financial issues. According to the latest trustees report, the Social Security Trust Fund could be depleted by 2034 if Congress doesn't act, which would result in beneficiaries receiving only about 77% of their scheduled payments. That's why so many senior advocacy groups are pushing for reforms like creating a new elderly consumer price index that better reflects seniors' real expenses and could lead to higher, fairer COLAs in the future. Smart moves you can make now. So, what can you do with this information? Review your Medicare coverage during open enrollment, October 15 to December 7. Take a close look at how your Social Security, savings, and healthcare costs will line up for 2026. If you're approaching retirement, talk with a financial professional about delaying benefits or adjusting your budget to account for these smaller COLAs.